Hello, this is Dr. Dave Maslach talking to you about reciprocity.com. The E is written with a 3, and in this particular video, I wanted to talk about digital platform strategies. I'll get into what do I mean by a digital platform, then get into digital platform strategies, and then maybe give some sort of recommendations and things like that. So I'm a professor of innovation strategy and entrepreneurship. And this is kind of the stuff that we actually study is digital platform strategies. It's kind of a big thing that's been picking up steam in the last few years. I'm also trying to build this sort of reciprocity project or build out the reciprocity platform, which is a sharing economy proofreading platform that is kind of built on this sort of this idea of building a platform strategy to build this thing out. I thought it was going to be probably a little bit more easier than I thought it's going to be at this moment, but I've been hacking away at this for a couple of years now and trying to build this thing. And so I thought I'd actually talk to you about this particular topic. So what do I mean by a digital platform? Well, this is where you create an architecture of some sort, and obviously it's digital, right? So it's some sort of software platform that allows you to, or software architecture that allows the users to interact and modify different components or provide user-generated content, or as well as the developers in the back end, they can actually put their own sort of take on stuff in the background so that they can modify the program to some sort of degree or modify the platform to some sort of degree that fits their particular needs, right? So why is this a really cool thing? This allows people to actually have, if they have a particular need that they need to fulfill, when you create a platform, so a single producer can't necessarily actually anticipate all of the problems that people are going to face. And they can't anticipate all of the solutions to all those particular problems, right? So by opening up and allowing people to provide their own content, both on the user side and then the developer side, that allows people to better match their own problems with some solutions that is custom to them. So users in general, so you might think of like a Wikipedia, for example, the way that works is normally kind of like a two-sided market of some sort of way, right? So that there is the producer, which is one of the users, can actually go and provide some content. So it'll probably end up being like one user will provide some sort of content, and then there'll be 1,000 other users that are going to read that. So that is on the consumer side, right? So that's what we mean by a two-sided market of some sort of degree. Now you can think of it on the developer side as well. You can create sort of rules and procedures to allow different developers to actually provide some content on the particular platform that you're trying to build, right? Or that you're thinking about. So a developer can go and actually develop a little short program, right? So if you think of Facebook, they have like Farmville and things like that. They provide a little short program, and then thousands of people hopefully would use that are using that particular platform, and they would find it useful, right? So it's kind of like the environment. So the platform is the environment that people sort of program and build stuff so that other people can use that particular thing. And then hopefully the developer gets to appropriate some of the value that's created, right? So they actually get to acquire some of the value that's created. So with a platform strategy, what you're trying to do in general, and there's far smarter people out there than me, right? So I'm just kind of, I'm fairly a noob at this, but there's some people who have been doing this stuff and focused specifically on this area for probably 10 years now, maybe even a little bit longer, depending on what you're looking at in the research area. Since definitely about 2002 or so, when people started to recognize this in research. So all the people that are in business schools and stuff that research this kind of thing, or that are in engineering schools, some of them are in engineering schools that research this kind of thing. We've been looking at this since, early 2000s. And if you could go back further, but the sort of context changed. Anyways, so The general idea is you create a platform that is essentially some sort of interface, right? So the platform is an interface or an architecture so that the users, the content producers, the users themselves, and the developers can actually generate something that generates value for other people, and then they appropriate some of the value. So they gather or take a little bit of the value that's actually created. The platform, the person that owns the platform, they take a little portion of the cut, and then it generates a lot of value for everybody that's using it, right? So that's the end goal. That's what you're trying to do. And that's kind of really what the strategy is. And what you're trying to think about is forecasting and thinking about how you can better serve the users out there, or better serve the sort of main customers for the particular thing that you're building. Now, platforms can range from all sorts of different sort of aspects and things that you're trying to cover. It could be sort of a music platform. That's what people were initially looking at. But then it also could be things like a software platform where you're specifically specifically serving certain people that are interested in some kind of software. It could also be sort of content that's produced, like or written content, like Wikipedia, Quora, those kind of things. There's all sorts of examples of this, and it's wide ranging, right? So when we're talking about this, we're being very generic in what we're trying to cover and think about with a platform strategy. So given that. Given that, I wanted to sort of talk about some of my own experiences with the Reciprocity project, and sort of building this strategy based on sort of the literature that I know, and I'm not putting any of the citations or anything like that, but there is a literature there. So the first thing is that there's a real chicken and the egg problem that happens here. So what do I mean by that? What is a chicken and the egg problem? Another name for that is endogeneity, or one form of endogeneity, where you actually have to have users first that contribute, and then have other people that sort of are relying on those other particular people, right? So you need people to interact in some sort of way on the particular platform. You need to entice people to some sort of degree and attract people to that particular platform. So the first thing is getting that sort of attraction to a particular platform, which I kind of a little bit underestimated. I thought like the novelty of a particular problem or a particular offering was going to be good enough, but it turns out that's actually really hard to sort of show whether something is actually novel. So you have to provide a lot of content out there so that other people can sort of realize what's going on for a lot of different reasons, right? So you can explain what your message is, but then as well get the search engines to pick up what you're trying to do, and so it sort of picks up in the rankings of the search engines, because there's a real sort of reputation structure, I guess, that happens with Google search or any of the search engines. It really relies on how many other people are sort of deferring to your particular website. And you really need sort of content to actually generate that. So you need some sort of content generation strategy to actually build this out, to ensure that it actually works in the long run. So the other thing that you actually need is creating some sort of mechanisms so that people actually interact on the particular platform, so it actually creates value for people. And that it's a little bit trickier than you think it's going to be, because that interaction depends on those two people. And if it's not at the right sort of sequence or right sort of environment, then people are not going to interact in any sort of way. So what you have to sort of focus on is trying to figure out ways to open up communication and build trust between different people. And if there's barriers to that, it sort of slows down the ability of people actually interacting on the particular platform. Because it's actually really tricky to get to that particular aspect, right? Or to sort of build trust and get people that are complete strangers to interact. And so you have to think about how to actually do that. I myself am struggling to figure out how to do that, but I think it's getting better. And it just requires a fair bit of work. So the third thing that you have to do, oh, by the way, and you can experiment and iterate and see which ones actually work. You can ask the people to ask the users and what they actually want to sort of help them out to build this sort of trusting relationship. And that might help, right? The third thing that you need to sort of think about and when you build this is have some sort of ecosystem governance of some sort. Now, ecosystem is kind of like a buzzword at this moment within the software area, and it's really just revolving around all of the different applications and things like that that actually build and work into the platform that you're trying to build, right? So it's all of the little providers and developers that are actually working and doing stuff for your particular platform, right? So you need to think about how to create governance mechanisms such that you can deal with problems when they come up, right? So governance is something that's been covered a lot in the strategy literature in economics for a very, very long time. And you have to do things like have incentives, right? So think about how you're incentivizing people to do a particular action. You have to think about things like contracts, for example. Think about the contracts that are in play that sort of enable you to default to something that's a little bit, that gives you a little bit more structure, I guess, to the particular mechanism. You also have to think about structuring the relationship, right? So one way you can structure a relationship is thinking about the APIs and sort of interfaces that you have with a particular platform that you have. And then finally, that you want to think about is dispute resolution. And this is a really important one to think about. And when you're starting out, I would just do dispute resolution by you being the sort of the king or queen or what, if you're building a particular platform, and then you just sort of do disputes as they come along. And then what you do is when those disputes come along, you just keep track of them, either sort of mentally or you write them down. Once the problems start happening a lot more, you write them down, and then you try to find the themes, create mechanisms like automated mechanisms to navigate those particular issues before they occur, right? So that's going to drive a lot of growth in the development of what you're trying to do. Is trying to sort of make it robust, right? You're trying to create ecosystem governance before it actually happens. Now, obviously, you can create managers and find managers later on to do this particular role and sort of think about that have already done that in another company. But when you're starting out and when you're building something, you just have to do it sort of one step at a time, right? And that's what I would recommend, is to sort of do it one step at a time and build it fairly slowly. So that's all I wanted to talk about was digital platform strategies. Is first of all, I explained exactly what a digital platform was, sort of give you a sort of rough picture of what that is. I talked about what a digital platform strategies were, and then sort of 3 issues that I went through, or that I'm currently going through with building this out with the reciprocity platform. I think it's pretty interesting. And, if there's other people that are interested in doing research on that particular thing, it still needs to be sort of researched because they're not clear. And from what I gather, they're still relatively new and sort of interesting areas to research, as well as, if there's people out there that are in need of this help. Those are 3 things that you might encounter going forward. So take care. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video, as well as do subscribe to the channel if you would like. All right. So take care. Have a wonderful day. And I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next video. Bye.